I had to pull out my Christmas stuff, and in order to get to that, I had to dig out all my GI Joe stuff, like all the new purchase, all the classified stuff, and I made sure to do it before my wife got home.
Yeah. Right. Yeah, the classified stuff right now has literally regurgitated itself all over
Yeah.
my room. It's just...
It filled the living room, and I was like, "Oh shit!" I've been tucking it away all this whole year, and now I was like, "Oh fuck."
Evening, everybody. Welcome to What's on Joe Mind Special Edition number 80. I think it's number 80. I don't know. I miscounted the last one, so if going by the numbers we got there are right, and maybe they are, and maybe they're not, it's a bit of a coin flip. Special Edition 80. I'm your host,
80.
Right. I'm your host, Mike Irizarry. Joining me here in the top row tonight, our comic book expert, Racktime Rob. And in the bottom row, by his lonesome, in the guest row, he can be easily removed from the show. You know him as the host of the Joe on Joe podcast. Joe Slepski is back with us.
Thank you. They never did that to the center square.
Oh well, I mean,
they never X'd him out of the show.
That's a logistic nightmare.
Yeah.
That's true. That is true.
The whole thing.
Hi guys. Thanks for having me on.
Hello.
I mean, if you were as lockdown dynamite entertainment as Mr. Paul Lynde was, there would be no threat knocking you out of the show.
Paul Lynde, spoiler alert, speaking of spoilers, is the vocal inspiration for any project that I work on that we do that has Xandar.
Yes.
Xandar is Paul Lynde, and that is 100% on purpose, and the idea is that he is Paul Lynde. Yeah.
Rob,
so I appreciate the reference.
Rob is laughing at that like he did not listen to G.I. Columbo. which is hurtful, frankly. It's hurtful.
Good. Excellent.
There we go. See, now I'm in the bottom. I'm in the Nipsey Russell seat if it's match game.
Oh, I love match game.
You're What's on Joe Mind's Poet Laureate.
Or,
that gives me a good idea. Maybe we do an episode of Match Game with G.I. Joe.
Or, you know what? If it's pre-match game, that's the Richard. If it's pre-Family Feud, that's the Richard Dawson seat.
Oh, maybe we do. Okay. I'm thinking now. Because I have an idea that's
in the Charles Nelson Riley Square.
Well, it depends on who's CNR. It's whoever CNR is actually as a Joe member. Sure. We would have to cast CNR as a Joe member. But yeah, maybe. Okay, all right. My brain's spinning. I had a similar idea that did use a game show, but that's still in the hip pocket. Game. I don't want to say what that is. But you say match game. I'm a longtime match game fan.
Oh, it's beautiful.
Yeah.
Beautifully bad television.
Like if we do it, it would have to be like G.I. Joe, Cobra, whatever, and Richard Dawson.
Yeah, somebody's got it.
Or maybe CNR. Maybe it's just CNR, and CNR is just the one normal dude.
Charles Nelson Riley.
Yeah.
It's really you could cast Richard Dawson. You could make him the shipwreck square or the shipwreck spot there. Telling off-color jokes, openly drinking. That sounds like that.
The Running Man.
Survey says.
No meat potato salad.
Obviously, I used to watch Richard Dawson on Family Feud, but then like seeing him in Running Man was one of my earliest memories of like awesome movie things. And all I wanted to know is why wasn't Dawson in more awesome movies? Yeah. Like not knowing about he was Great Escape, right? And
Hogan's Heroes.
Oh, that's right, Hogan's Heroes.
Yeah.
But like not knowing that part of his career, I was just always like, Richard Dawson is the greatest actor of our generation in Running Man. Why is he not in every movie?
Has he acted before? Yeah.
Yeah, like, right. Like,
Zero.
wait, he
What's
was in that?
this?
What? What?
That was the question coming out of Running Man. Was that he was so good in that movie?
Yeah,
Everybody was looking around, going, "Why doesn't he do more movies?"
yeah.
And from what I saw on a documentary about him, the answer was he didn't want to.
Yeah, he was just too busy enjoying life, right?
He couldn't necessarily be bothered, but he somehow saw the script for The Running Man and decided, "Oh, what the hell? This will be fun."
Yeah.
It
he
was
was
perfect. Yeah, it's perfect for him. Absolutely perfect.
100% correct that he made that movie.
It's so good.
Well, I think probably after Family Feud, he didn't have to work, so it was like,
No.
So imagine how good that movie would have been in like a Verhoeven, the hands of like Paul Verhoeven, you know, because you hear about some of the behind the scenes stuff and like how they switched directors and they ended up going with Starsky and Hutch or whatever, and it was very like TV budget, like that. I love that movie. It's so good. It could have been like all timer.
Yeah, it was probably a couple of years too soon
Yeah.
for what they wanted to create there to make it look really good.
Mm-hmm.
Like if that movie, it was in 1987. If it had come around in like 93, 94, they probably could have pulled it off really, really well. But
Yeah.
I just don't know if it was there in
I
1987.
mean, Jesse, the body's great in it. Everybody's great in it.
Clarence Clemens, the big man.
Clarence Clemens is in that movie? What?
Yeah,
no,
he's the guy with the flamethrower.
no, he's not.
Yes.
I'm an avowed Springsteen fan. That is not Clarence Clemens.
Okay, whatever you say, Joe Slepski.
Wait a minute. Are you serious?
I think so.
I know, no.
So I'll edit out the part where Joe looks this up on IMDb.
No, well, Jim Brown was Fireball. You talking about Jim Brown?
Jim Brown's not Fireball.
Yeah,
No way is that. No way is that Jim Brown.
it's Jim Brown.
No way.
Yes. It's definitely not Clarence Clemens. Yeah, Jim Brown is Fireball. Mick Fleetwood was the head of the Resistance. That's crazy. I forgot about that. And I remember Dweezil Zappa.
Right.
Yeah, Fireball. Jim Brown.
I was thinking of him as. Oh wait, no, I'm putting him in the Yaphet Kotto.
Yeah, no, yeah, Yaphet's one of the runners.
Right.
And then Jim Brown had the big white hair streak.
Right.
Jim Brown always thinks always just thinks of himself as the greatest football player of all time. God blessed. Cleverly ignoring Walter Payton.
I don't know. I mean, he's
drop.
one of those guys who's got a case.
He's got a case, but mic drop.
So we're back, and Ragtime Rob.
G.I. Joe.
Ragtime Rob is incorrect. Jim Brown was Fireball in the Running Man.
Wow, doing a damn straight on like Clarence Clemens impersonation.
I bet Jim Brown was an awesome saxophone player too. Because
I'll tell you what.
if he could hit those keys with the ferocity he hit the hole, then yeah, he probably.
So many ruined saxophones.
I'm the
Just
greatest.
breaks Springsteen's leg every night on stage. Just runs right through him. I gotta get to my solo.
I'm the greatest segue in the business for a reason, folks. Anyways, the reason we called you here tonight, here in special edition number 80, a couple weeks ago we got G.I. Joe number 300 from IDW Publishing, the last issue of G.I. Joe under the IDW umbrella.
Skypoint.
Right, a couple days afterwards, young Mr. Slepski got a hold of me and said, "Hey," as opposed to your dad, right?
Yeah, it's true. That is true.
Old Mr.
Yeah. The likelihood of my dad reaching out to, well, first of all, having an opinion on G.I. Joe 300. Second of all, reaching out to want to talk about it publicly.
Right. With someone who is not his son, who has
Well,
a Joe podcast.
Yeah, you never know that one. You never know. My dad, who famously one time, God bless, I love my dad, But early days, like early 2000s, we were talking about Google, and like it was new to everybody. And we could swear. I always ask. We could swear here, right?
Yes.
Turns to the dinner table as we were talking about. Yeah, looked you up on Google. Saw stops. He goes, "Who the fuck put me on Google?"
Why am I on the Googles?
Yeah, we all went. I don't know. It's a good question, I guess. He goes, "I don't want to be on Google. Give me the fuck off Google."
I can just see him like launching, trying to get himself off the internet like Ron Swanson.
Yeah, exactly. It's exactly it. He's an outdoorsman, big guy, beard.
Google,
yeah, he's totally
Ron Swanson.
Yep, it's totally it. Who the fuck put me on Google? Yeah,
Taking the
God
big
bless him.
guess.
I love him. Yeah,
Throwing it in. But anyways, young Joe Slepski came and said, "Hey, Mike, I don't really have a place to talk about all this on my show, since as we remind our listeners who undoubtedly 100% also listen to the Joe on Joe podcast. But in case you happen to be behind a few episodes, as I was for a while, Joe is currently in the middle of the Marvel run, getting close to the end. New episode every week. So if you want to hear in-depth discussion of the Marvel run of G.I. Joe on Joe podcast, available wherever you get your podcast.
wherever,
Everywhere you can.
Yeah. I'm on a freight train. Right to the end, and I didn't want to interrupt it because I got about 4 episodes left till we get to 155.
Right.
And then
As
we're
of this recording, you just published 151.
yeah. Yep.
Oh,
yep.
that was a good one.
It was a pretty good one. It was right before things got a little hairy.
Yeah, it was all right. I mean, it's still in that era of like such importance was being put on Destro's Castle that you would have expected they were coming out with a playset for Destro's Castle. That's how much Destro's Castle factored in to the previous 40 issues of G.I. Joe.
Right.
Yeah, everyone wanted Destro's Castle except for apparently Destro.
Yeah.
So if you're haven't picked up the book, or if you haven't read the book yet, we've got some spoiler warnings going on. I would say stop the recording here, come back after you've read it, or maybe going back through that whole arc. If you haven't read from say 296 forward,
Yeah.
This is a good time to bail out, because that's the story we're going to be talking about very extensively here with Joe tonight, for reasons that are known only to Joe.
Although really, we're talking about the last.
Ragtime Rob and I have not been privy to Joe's thinking for his need to call an emergency.
I call it an emergency session because yes, I don't really have a great outlet on my show because I'm running it solo, and so I want to bounce ideas and I want to have a conversation about this stuff. I'm not covering the modern stuff right now, so it would be I do the miniseries when they pop up, but that's a little bit different.
Right.
And then when we're done with 155, I already announced that I'm planning and I'm working on some things. We're rolling right into a kind of a new next gen version of the show, which is you on Joe.
Plug that later.
Okay. All
Get
right.
that at the end. We don't need to
All right.
put off the actual discussion for 20
Sure.
minutes at this point. We gotta,
Sure.
we gotta push
So-
forward.
Yeah. But those are all the reasons why.
Right. We're just
And
your
do you want to
format-
start with my positives or my negatives on this?
Why don't you go ahead and give us your we'll go positives first, because we'll probably agree, and then we'll go into negatives, and that's where we'll discuss.
Love the 300 cover.
Oh yeah.
Really great job of Jamie Sullivan. I also enjoyed the whole return of Snake Eyes. I thought that was great. It's a little telegraphed.
Right.
I feel like it actually could have happened a couple episodes earlier, just to then this one be more of instead of the actual reunion here, like get the reunion in 99. You know what I mean? And then here you just have him and Scarlet being together again, kind of some action there. But nitpicky. I love that they did it. They brought him back smart. It's Larry, setting the table again for the next team and all that stuff. I love the Cobra Casino concept. I thought that was a whole lot of fun.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It really was.
It's a shame that it appears to be on the way out, but I'm sure that's something we'll cover.
Yeah. I think it's great. I think it's a great kind of modern update to the whole Broca Beach idea.
Yeah,
So I think
the
it
amusement
totally.
pier, yeah.
Yep, I think it totally works. I think that's really cool. And then we go. That's it. That's my positives.
That's what you loved. Okay.
Yeah.
All right. So what caused this emergency summit, Joe Slepski?
Cliffhangers.
And
IDW's.
before you get started, I'll throw one more spoiler warning out there. If you haven't read the story, if you have to get out now, come back and see us later. Get out. Spoilers, OMG, oh my, you've only had a month to read it. Oh my God, spoilers.
Yeah.
With 7 Z's.
So we were talking a little bit before the show. We're not exactly sure. IDW's had the license now for almost 15 years, or close to something like that, right?
It's 147 issues, what I read somewhere.
Yeah, which is.
But they had it for
Well, they had it before, but they had
started Real
right.
American Hero.
That's right. Yeah. So the 147 would be like 12 years of this plus a couple of years of that. So it's close to 15 years or around 15. I don't know. I didn't do the research. As the great patriots like to say, do your own research. For 15 years of telling various Joe stories, this is going out with a whimper. Because this cliffhanger is so run of the mill and so like average adventure cliffhanger, right?
Right.
When I'm and it's such a build up, right? It's such a build up of 300 and it's the final issue and for a time it was billed as it might be Larry's last issue, right?
Right.
If you're going to do that, don't you do the cliffhanger about like Marvel did with G.I. Joe's been shuttered, or didn't Image and theirs with Cobra's defeat, like the big World War III thing, right?
Yeah.
That's how Image ended it. Yeah.
They tie the bow on.
Exactly. They put a little bow on it. So conceptually, I'm not against cliffhangers, knowing that someone is going to publish more G.I. Joe one day, and yes, it's a nice carrot to say. This is really, without saying Larry's going to be back. But, man, what a disappointing cliffhanger.
Yeah.
Like there's no stakes to this. There are not even stakes. There's no resolution to it. And after 300, 140 some issues, 45 issues, like, can't we get something? Like,
Yeah,
this would be a bad cliffhanger for a regular 300, even if they weren't changing publishers, let alone changing publishers.
It feels a little paint by numbers because if you again get out now, he's got his Wild Bill is piloting the cargo plane that is carrying the Joes away from the casino island to safety. They're in a holding pattern as they wait for the folks who are still on the ground, and they get brought down by an ambitious bat on a Cobra jetpack. We knew those Cobra jetpacks were good for something.
It was a really nice rendition of that jetpack. I had that toy.
Right.
That's a really well done rendition of that, like size wise and everything. It was great.
It's gigantic. I love it.
It was so big.
So
you go from the first generation Geo backpack that's barely larger than my shoulders to like
The G.I. Joe jetpack's a big backpack.
yeah.
The Cobra jetpack is a small plane.
Completely.
you're moving so fast that even with the faceplate on, your Cobra Vipers are going to be holding skin on their face.
It's like when Russia tries to build Iron Man. It's like 18 times its size.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Crimson Dynamo or Titanium.
Right, exactly. That's exactly it. Yeah.
So we've got anyways, the C-130 is coming down. Wild Bill is losing control of the plane. Doing his damnedest to pull out of a full-on nosedive. In the plane that is now hurtling towards the casino are Wild Bill, Duke, Roadblock, Clutch, CoverGirl, Lady J, a lot of familiar faces, a lot of major players in the GI Joe franchise. We know that plane is not going in a ball of fury.
No, exactly.
That plane's going to land, and everybody on board is somehow going to be at least okay. Maybe there'll be a serious injury, but probably not a life-threatening anything. Maybe the guy that came to Thunderclap, he's around. Maybe he dies. Who knows?
Heavy Metal?
No, not Heavy Metal's dead.
Oh, that's right. He is dead.
He got some lines in that Snake Hunt issue, but he's dead. He came with the Thunderclap, and I can't think of it. Long range.
Oh, yeah.
Maybe long range bites it. Who knows? But so it feels a little paint by numbers.
It really does. And it's so, and also then the second kind of not as big of a letdown thing, but the covers have all been teasing all in, right? And you're leading up to this, and conceptually, like they're building up to that. Like there's like one killer whale and a cargo plane.
A cargo plane with a vamp, a hammer, and a wolverine.
Yeah, and 4 people on it.
Yeah,
like for real. Like that's the other part of this that was kind of little less. I'm not saying give. Yeah, I'm not saying give screen time to everybody, but like make it look like you guys remember the assault on like Springfield,
Yeah.
Like that was just everybody, and like this didn't. It felt like they had we had a couple extra cars and a Jeep.
Whoever was hanging around the base.
Yeah, it just didn't feel like something that would be all in.
Well, you forgot the other part of the cliffhanger is that Serpentor, Genghis Khan,
we're gonna get to that,
is about to set off the zombie bomb and turn everyone else into mindless zombies on the island, which also includes, of course, Cobra hierarchy, and Snake Eyes, Scarlet, Throwdown, Ron Marino, Stalker.
So another cliffhanger that's not going to happen.
Yeah,
right.
And there's also those. I honestly don't even understand what the sentient cyborg robots are on the moon or whatever they're at. That thread
from Revanche.
Yeah, that thread can go away. I would have no problem if that thread just...
Yeah, that's a completely unresolved thread. And,
they just set off an EMP on the moon and destroy them all and say, oh, we have no idea what you're
I think there's someplace worse, like New Jersey.
No.
Oh, okay. I thought they were on the moon.
Hackensack.
I thought they were on the moon for some reason.
I think they're in Hackensack.
Is that where they're at? Baton Rouge?
Baton Rouge.
Baton Rouge? Okay.
What was around in the book. So
I think that's Hackensack was where they were building the casino.
I know a lot of people. I know a lot of people from New Orleans. It might as well be on the moon. I love that city. It's crazy. But yeah, like that. No one cares about those robots. Nobody cares. Nobody cares about those robots. So when they started including them a couple issues ago, I was like, oh, just unless you're leading up to just destroying them and wiping the slate clean, so we never have to see them again. Cool. And then I'm a longtime Serpentor guy. I dig Serpentor. Just having it be just straight up Genghis Khan. I don't know. It's interesting. That's not as much a complaint. That's more of a meh. Serpentor's more interesting to me.
Yeah, it's an interesting twist on the Serpentor concept of Dr. Mindbender trying to refine, the idea of the ultimate super soldier because, they kind of state the flaws. Well, genetic mix wasn't right. He was the personality was fractured, which kind of gives you a little bit more of a description of the personality of the cartoon one more than the comic book one.
Right, because the comic book one was pretty good. He just happened to take an arrow in the eye.
Yeah.
He actually was pretty successful.
Yeah, he was. He was a much more competent and, reserved, character than he ever was on the cartoon where he was just, he was just one more raving lunatic.
Right.
He was just louder than Cobra Commander, so he got to throw him around.
Right. That's the least of my cares? Like, that's just one of those like, meh, another character development.
But I do kind of like the idea of like Mindbender saying, "Well, let's this one didn't work. Let's try and tinker with the formula."
Yeah,
I mean, I could totally see him doing that.
Sure.
I'm okay with it because the goal was never to recreate Serpentor. It was to use that science to recreate Genghis Khan. And Genghis Khan decided he liked the imagery and named himself Serpentor.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, that's true. I will say this though, I'm not a sensitive soul. Like I do find it a little awkward though that what is Genghis Khan mostly referenced these days when it comes up in conversation, that he raped his way across the world. Like, I don't know if you got, like everyone has a little bit of Genghis in them because he just went around the world, So throwing that out there to then have, hey, Genghis is back.
Yeah, I think it's something like 40% of the world can trace lineage back to Genghis Khan.
Right. Which is, just saying. That was a little, we're okay.
It just opens up a lot of possibilities for Genghis Khan's back, and he's really bringing the lumber.
Yeah, and Genghis Khan just found out that Plan B exists, so look out, ladies.
Actually, it'd be a great subplot that the ultimate defeat of Cobra is just an onslaught avalanche of paternity suits.
Yeah. That's great.
Maury
Povich gets enlisted by G.I. Joe.
An ill-timed appearance on the Maury Povich show.
Hector Ramirez and Maury Povich team up to take down Cobra.
I want to see Serpentor walk out on the set like,
yeah, what, huh? Look at me, whoo. So as I say that with tongue in cheek, I get it. It's you guys see where I'm coming from with that.
Yeah, exactly.
But that is like the first thought that went through my head. I'm like, oh shit. So, but my biggest gripe is just it was just underwhelming, like and IDW when they finished their non-Hama G.I. Joe stuff, that was just a whimper, right? Like it just disappeared, both the Sitterson verse, and then that just got wiped out by COVID and controversy, and then but technically, that was the same universe that they cross over with Ram and all that, right?
Yeah.
So technically, their IDW verse ended with the Sitterson verse,
right?
And that never got any kind of outgo. And then they tried to start with All Eller stuff, which I liked, and that just went out with nothing.
Well,
so
it got wrapped up very, very quickly.
Yeah. I mean, it wrapped up, but you know what I mean. So like. The IDW they didn't put a stamp on anything. They just reissued as many reprints as they could to, in the final 6 months to snap your money up. And then they gave us a cliffhanger for Skybound.
Yeah. I mean, if Skybound is indeed
picking
it up. I mean, are they the favorites in the clubhouse? Sure. But has it been confirmed by anybody? No.
Okay.
I won't, I don't want to confirm that.
Yeah, right. Yeah, I'm not.
The one thing I could tell from this cliffhanger, that has me, and I may be wrong here, but there's a 301 and somebody's got it, and Larry's writing it.
Right.
Sure.
Yeah.
That's been revealed. Larry himself put that on social media, so I'll take that.
Correct.
But again, it's not necessarily Skybound. So
right. Yeah. And whoever and wherever.
I want to go perpetuating the rumor because it again very well could be the case. But it's not firm, so I don't want to spread.
I agree. So I guess the finger just goes back to IDW of like, that's it?
Yeah, I'll be honest here in that there's been, on this run of G.I. Joe, there's been a lot of it that I've liked. There hasn't been a whole lot of it that I've loved. And this just fits right in there. It just feels... I don't know, like, and we've heard Hama complain about it in the past that he's not really a guy who can write to fill 6 issues.
Yeah.
For a trade paperback, he's an issue by issue, a page by page guy, even.
Right.
And so it feels like he struggles with that a little bit with the structure of things. I think there have been instances where, um, uh, like for example, Snake Hunt just felt like it got stretched out way too long.
Mm-hmm.
Like if Snake Hunt was just a 6-issue story, it probably would have been a lot better than what it actually turned out to be.
Mm-hmm.
10 issues, Rob.
10, yeah.
It was entirely too long. Whereas this one felt like it needed some room to breathe, and they weren't able to give it that because, I mean, for all we know, Hasbro shut the doors on them. They said, "You've got until end of the year, get it done," and they were like, "Well, okay." We thought maybe we could hang on through the new year and get a 15th anniversary, or no, absolutely.
Mm-hmm.
So they maybe IDW had a little bit more in the can,
Maybe.
and so it's possible that this one got rushed. It certainly feels a little rushed.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't know. It's like G.I. Joe's a C+ book, and it probably gets the plus just from the nostalgia hits.
Yeah. So here's a tough question for you.
Yeah.
And I saying this with all due respect, please don't at me. Is it a matter of editorial being too in awe of Larry?
I think so.
Yeah.
I think he's got a room full of folks that are just like I think Larry makes a little bit more money than most of the folks they have on their payroll,
Right.
and he should. He's
of course he should. Yeah, he absolutely should make the most money of the book. 100%.
He's bringing them that 6,000 plus subscriptions, which again is a pretty good number for a third party publisher in the year of our Lord 2022. And they're there mostly because Larry Hama's writing G.I. Joe.
Right.
But yeah, I think they absolutely do not. Like he had to go out and get people to help him keep continuity straight. And again, no fault there. These are stories that he wrote a generation ago. And then they went on ice for a while, and then he's just he's not going to remember everything coming back the way we do.
Yeah.
So
no complaints on that. Yeah.
Bring people in to help out with that. That's our friend and listener of the program, Diana, was a big part of that as far as helping keep the continuity strong in these books. So, no, I totally get all that, but I think somebody actually being an editor for Larry just would have helped. Not that he doesn't have it anymore, but just that's the relationship in that business, right? You have to have somebody back on what you're creating, otherwise things just go meandering.
Yeah, and yes, and I know we're far removed from the 80s. I mean, Larry was an editor for a long time. We're far removed from that 80s heyday, and obviously way before the 80s too, where the editor kind of was king. But between stuff we've been talking about and stuff like Liefeld's Dead Game, you just look at some of that stuff and you go, "Where's the
end?" On tape, Joe. What your thoughts on Dead Game, real quick?
Oh my God, redefining comic books for me. It made me rethink everything that I thought I knew about storytelling.
That is an amazing answer.
I rethought about what I knew about storytelling too, and I was convinced I was right.
But you know what I mean? Like that project, I definitely got this sense of we don't want to tell the big money guy what to do.
Yeah.
And
I don't think Liefeld does it unless he gets to do what the hell he wants, and it's like amazing to me that he has that kind of pull.
It's shocking. It's So I don't mean to slag on the editors, but I miss that day. I miss that push and pull because I've yet to. It's always a better book when you have a second set of eyes.
Larry
that steers the ship a little bit.
Larry was an editor for a while, but Larry didn't edit the books he wrote.
Right.
And while G.I. Joe had its heyday, Marvel policy was, if you're writing this book, you can't edit it. which
Correct.
some people like Roy Thomas and stuff like that did not like, so they went to DC.
Right.
But
And some people invented Japanese doppelgangers.
yeah, but that's later.
I'm looking at you, current publisher of Marvel.
Yeah, current editor.
Who's the editor? EIC. Yeah, EIC.
Yeah, but also
sorry,
too,
Akira.
comic book editing is a lost art,
It is.
and you can tell by the directions that stories take now.
Yep.
I mean, that meandering crap that's going on in X-Men. What the hell is that?
Oh, don't get me started.
Yeah,
I hate the Krakoa stuff. Yeah.
Everybody loves. Everybody seems to go nuts for Jonathan Hickman. I dropped Avengers when he was writing it because I was paying way too much money to be bored stiff.
Listen, my job pays me to read spreadsheets. I don't want to pay Marvel Comics to read spreadsheets.
Yeah, I was like, well, this is terrible. I said,
Yeah.
Circle, Joe. Come on.
I mean,
Yeah.
writers and particularly writers out there get the name and like then they become somehow they become immune to editing.
Yeah.
All right.
No, yeah, there's this halo around Hickman that I don't get. And he might be a very nice guy.
I don't either.
I'll say this. I
have no idea. I'm sure he's a lovely person, but
I actually liked I thought his Fantastic Four was dynamite. I thought his Fantastic Four was great.
I've heard good things. I haven't read it just simply because what I have read from his, I'm like,
I thought it was great because I think it works for that crew because every adventure was this far off new idea, intergalactic spanning thing, and then you had the ground 4 people that he could focus on writing. But when you take that same equation and translate that to the team of Avengers, where I didn't care about anything that was going on, and every character. I'm so glad he did not do Legion of Superheroes, even though Bendis also screwed it up. But like every character spoke, every Avenger spoke like they were the smartest Avenger in the room.
yeah,
And Tony, Reed, the Vision, Captain America, name it, Captain America, Carol Danvers, every single Avenger spoke like they were a super genius. I'm not a fan.
yeah.
But that's a great example of like editorial. Let's get some. Yeah, it's a lost art. It's a lost art.
Yeah, the editor is basically supposed to rein in, like, a good editor brings out what's great and reins in the worst impulses of someone. And nobody reins in those bad impulses anymore.
Yeah, I feel
they
like
just
they're
let them go because it's like, oh, that could tamper with the vision. It's like, well, you know what? You're turning your these things into unedited, unreadable messes.
Yeah. It's like their function these days is like just to keep the trains on time. Just to manage schedules
it is.
and not to actually input on the creative process. And I think that's a flaw. The problem might be is that the editors, and I'm literally have no one in mind. I'm not even talking about like IDW. The problem might be that the editors are there to, they're not hired because they're creative.
Yeah.
They don't have that capability. They don't have that skill set,
No,
I saw a page of art in a Star Wars comic book. It was the recent Star Wars one shot called Star Wars Visions or something. It was like came out last week. It was
they put that on my pull list and I think I put it back on the shelf.
Yeah, it was like a reset for the universe to
it looked like a clip show. Yeah.
Yeah, that's totally what it was. There was a 2 or 3 page sequence of pages in there that every Marvel editor prior to I'll even say the year 2000 died, got buried, rolled over in their grave, came back to life, slapped and wanted to slap the shit out of that artist. It was terrible. It was so poorly done in a Marvel comic book and a Star Wars comic book, a premier brand comic book. One of the worst sequence of pages I've ever seen published by Marvel Comics. Absolutely horrible artwork. And that never would have gone through back in the day. They would have gotten those pages. They would have sent them back. They would have said, be a fucking professional and don't give me some bullshit that looks like the local creators rack at Golden Apple Comics. Because it was fucking terrible in that book. And I know I sound really hot. I don't, I'm just saying, like it's gross. It's in that kind of competency is less and less these days. Maybe it's because Marvel doesn't pay anybody. I don't know. But the rest of the pages look beautiful.
That's part of it.
Yeah, but the rest of the pages were gorgeous.
Yeah.
Shout out to Golden Apple Comics.
Hey, shut up. Hey.
I think, I mean, this is kind of like the long ranging. I mean, not to denigrate like what happened with Image in the '90s, but the creators got more control over their stuff,
Yeah.
which they are creators and they should have level of ownership and control and things like
Well,
that.
if it's their book.
If it's their book, but if you're coming onto an established property, okay, the editors have to be the guardians of that property. And you may let somebody take an interesting take or things like that, which is fine. I mean, it's what keeps the thing going. But
It's
I hate to sound like, because we both sound like back in my day, comics were good.
yeah, but I know, I hear you on that.
were.
Here's the thing. The
Jim
difference is
Shooter, as bad as he is, didn't let unreadable shit go out.
I'll say the difference. I don't think we're talking about content, storylines. You know what I mean? We're not sitting here saying like they never talk about political. You know what I mean? We're not making those. We're not making those. We're talking about the quality of the product, and I think that's the kind of conversation that I'm always. What's that?
You're talking continuity.
Yeah, continuity, quality of the product. I think those are conversations that have to be had or should be had by people who have been around for a little while. And understanding that art styles change. But there's a level of competency and craftsmanship that is sorely going away on a lot of these mainstream stuff. I think one of the biggest reasons that it kowtows to that, like more celebrity. Well, one, it started with the Image. Well, it didn't start with the Image stuff, but it was really driven by the Image stuff back in the day. Is when they keep rebooting the series. So you get a new creator, and they want to push this new creator, so they give you a new number one. No, the star of the book isn't. And I love Chip Zdarsky's writing. I do. I'm a big fan. Chip Zdarsky is not the star of Daredevil. Daredevil's the star of Daredevil. They just relaunched it for absolutely no good reason.
Yeah, I mean, because they didn't even change creative team.
Nothing. There was no reason to do it.
There was just
none.
They started a new story. Let's restart it.
Yep, that should have been Daredevil number 27 or 39 or whatever
or
number they were.
600 and whatever.
600. Well, yeah, definitely 600 or whatever. But it's Don. Now I'll say this: Immortal Hulk was so unique as far as the story they're telling. Something like that makes sense to restart it. It does, and when you're done with
something, there needs to be some kind of massive turnover.
Yeah, but like for the most part, a lot of these relaunches, I see some of the ads, and they're like, like they're relaunching the Miles Morales comic, and they're with new writer, with new writer this and new artist that. And I'm like, I've never heard of these people, and I work in a comic shop. Yeah. Like, there's no reason to you're not putting the stars of the comic should be the superheroes or the main characters or whatever. If the authors and stuff, they want to get their names and relaunch because of their names, that's what independent books are for, which is fine. That's great. Right. People are supposed to follow you from book to book, not have to worry about which volume of Punisher are we on again.
Yeah, where do we start? I want to get into this. Where do I start to go back on? Well, there's no 7th series. I was like, no, why don't I just go back on number?
Yeah, and their trade dresses don't make it easy.
No,
they think they do, but it's just not. I have like 3 volume 1s of various Punisher series or Daredevil series, sitting on the shelf, and it's like, well, which one is it? I don't know.
Or just give up on the generic titling and just every time you restart. If the next Spider-Man story is Spider-Man back for more cash, then Amazing Spider-Man ends and is replaced by Spider-Man back for more cash number 1. And that runs for 8 issues, and then it goes to Spider-Man. I
couldn't agree with you less. Absolutely not. That's the problem. That's the problem that I'm saying is that constant relaunch.
I don't like it either, but at least it makes it easier to follow.
No, because then from a...
What order do they come in?
Right, exactly. And from a longevity perspective, people... And I get it. People come into the store and they go, hey, man, I want to read... using Spider-Man. They're like, I want to read Spider-Man Mary Jane's Day Out. And I look at them and I go, what are you talking about? And they're like, Mary Jane's Day Out. I want to read it. And I go, I have no fucking idea what that is. What they really want to read is the arc of Spider-Man, Amazing Spider-Man number 625 through 631, and it's volume 8 of the trade, right? But they don't know that. And so there's this disconnect, and so they think that it's you know what I mean? Like you want to hook them into the ongoing series so they'll come back next month. That's also the eye in the prize here, is you want them to keep coming back next month. If they think it's just this self-contained story, then they're going to read that and they're not going to come back for the next one, which is another lost art from the editorial perspective.
Subplots, supporting characters.
Right, subplots, supporting characters, referencing old stories while teasing new stories. It's, you know,
it's right.
yeah. I mean,
Wanted all to be small and self-contained because,
well, that's what miniseries are for, though.
sure. And the comics we grew up on, you had, you know, these comic companies were comic book companies. They didn't make movies. They were not part of large corporate conglomerates, and you answered to the editor-in-chief, who pretty well sat on your continuity Bible as law and sent his editors out to enforce those laws. Well, now the editor-in-chief answers to some dude in corporate that doesn't care about your continuity Bible.
Yeah.
We need to do what we can to squeeze more cash out of that rock. And
it sucks.
Yeah, right.
It's short-sighted.
Yeah, it is totally short-sighted. Yeah.
It's short-sighted. It's cynical. It's completely, it denigrates the art.
Yeah. How many Amazing Spider-Man number ones have we had in the last 8 years? I think we've had 5.
I was about to say,
I think we've had 3 in the last 3 years. I mean, almost.
Yeah.
It's hard to tell from the numbering because they're cranking it out like 3 times a month. But
right. Yeah. It's just, you can't keep track. I hate it so much. And again, let me reiterate, this isn't old man get off my lawn. The stories they're telling are good. You know, like there's some good stories. You know, I'll quibble with some of the, you know, in some cases, I don't think they're, you know, the art's up to snuff, and some of the stories I don't think are great, and I sometimes think it's a little drawn out. But it's not a quibble about, you know, a lot of the things you see online of people bitching about new comics, right?
Right.
You know, agenda driven. You know, oh, they're so woke. I don't give a shit about any of that.
Yeah,
I'm talking about the competency of the product and hooking, bringing readers in, and they've just lost. They've lost, the comics have lost thread, man. And don't even get me started on cover design. How every comic book cover looks exactly like every other comic cover. They're just flashy pinups by really talented artists, but they're not memorable, and they have no bearing on what's inside.
Yeah.
So then so I don't associate any cover with a big event that happened inside, or that, you know, that moment when this happened. You know, think about G.I. Joe. Random, what was it? Is like, I'm going to get the number wrong, but it was like 31 with the Dreadnoks, you know, ripping up the airfield, you know?
Yeah.
Yeah. Like,
or 32 or something.
32. Yeah, something like that. But like in your head, you go, oh yeah, that's that great issue. I know if I saw that cover, regardless of the number, I know what I'm getting in for that issue. And it was awesome. I'm getting great Dreadnought action.
In fairness, I can think of a lot of really memorable G.I. Joe covers that had nothing to do with what was going on in the book.
Yes and no.
Like,
I think
that Mike Zeck cover with the skeleton with the M60.
You know what? We covered that on my show. That's actually one of the very, very few representational covers that G.I. Joe has ever done. G.I. Joe does not do representational covers, especially in that Marvel run.
That's issue 43, I think, and that's the death of
the Softmaster.
Softmaster and Candy. And,
so that one does... Billy. Yeah, that one does stand out, and it does have something to do with it because it's the specter of death. But it was a real departure from what they had done, where pretty much every cover related to action on the inside, and this was representational, saying, "Oh no, something monumental's happening." So take that, Kung Fu Mike.
I'm going to disagree. I'm going to say that is grasping at the flimsiest of straws.
Oh no,
you may disagree. No. You will be incorrect.
Yes, Ragtime Rob's with me.
Characters in the book die, and there's a representation of death on the cover. Well,
all right. Yeah, but you know what? Here's the thing.
Die in every book.
No, but
You
that
want
was
to do representation because they weren't really characters anybody gave a shit about.
yeah, that's the thing. If you show Bongo the balloon bear,
Look,
that is true. They're unidentifiable. It's kind of like
they could have shown the taxi with the missile coming right at it just a half second before impact. That would have been an action-packed cover.
a couple issues ago. I covered it was probably like issue 147 or something like that, and it was Scarlet, but she wasn't in her normal Scarlet outfit, and she's like in the water being attacked by something, and you have no idea who it is on the cover of this issue.
Right.
There's nothing on this cover that says G.I. Joe, Scarlet, anybody. And that could have used a little hand stepping in and saying,
tough, 'cause I think in those days it's Ninja Force Scarlet. So
right, yeah, but she wasn't even in her Ninja Force outfit. She was in. Oh, it was the flashback episode. That's what it was. It was the flashback. It was the flashback episode. Yeah.
You could have had a feeling it was Scarlet.
Yeah. So anyway, that's yeah. I could go on about this with but yeah, I mean, G.I. Joe is a great example of doing those kind of covers. But I mean, X-Men were too, for the vast majority of X-Men books for a long time, told the story of what was going on and, told it with some really great Flash covers. Now everything is just variant and not even variant version.
Yeah.
Like they're just beautiful paintings. Okay.
Back in the day, if you saw a gorilla on a DC comic, you knew you were getting a story with a gorilla in it.
Yes.
Now it might just be Gorilla Month.
Correct.
And we've just got gorilla variants because we feel like it.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
You're saying Gorilla Month is a bad thing. And
It's not a bad thing. It's an amazing thing.
Gorilla Month is an amazing thing if there's freaking gorillas in my stories.
You know who's doing a good job of it? I will call this out. Flash.
Yeah.
The Flash comic book. Mm-hmm. One, it's actually been really, really readable for about the last... I mean, I'm a fan, but it's been really good for like the last 2 or 3 years since Rebirth. But theirs are very much, hey guys, this is a nice piece of art, and this is what happens in the comic book.
There's always going to be a Flash book.
Totally agree.
From DC.
Yep,
just like there's
totally
always going to be a Green Lantern book until they hire someone who decides he hates Hal Jordan and ruins the book.
Yeah, there's no Green Lantern.
Yeah,
I was going to say there's no Green Lantern on the shelves right now.
Exactly, because the guy decided, I hate Hal Jordan. He sucks. I'd kill him if they would let me. Actually said this in the book, and I was just like, when they were interviewing him to start the run on Green Lantern, and as it turns out, you know what? You're a bad Green Lantern writer anyway. You've killed the book.
I know him. He's a longtime Golden Apple customer.
Guess what?
Shout out to Golden Apple.
He's a nice guy.
I'm sure he's a nice guy, and he's allowed to hate Hal Jordan.
Yes. Yeah,
but if you're taking over Green Lantern, I think this is something that the recent Green Lantern animated movie they did with Jon Stewart also did. You could tell stories about Jon Stewart. There's tons of Green Lanterns. You could tell stories about Jon Stewart or any other Green Lantern without shitting on every other Green Lantern.
I'll say this. I do agree. I think the proof is in the pudding. The fact that there is no Green Lantern series being published right now, and for a long time, I think that franchise has been mismanaged a lot.
I think they're just clearing the decks for Charlie Vickers.
Oh God,
isn't that the dude with the derby?
No, that's Doiby Dickles.
That's Doiby Dickles. Who's Charlie Vickers?
Charlie Vickers is some guy from Earth who ended up being a Green Lantern in far off space that they had in some 60s story.
Yes.
And would occasionally show up every once in a while when somebody remembered there was a guy named Charlie Vickers.
I know what you're talking about. Yeah. That's funny. That's good.
Deep dive for the win.
Yeah, that's good.
And you only know about him from that Who's Who page.
That's exactly correct. What the hell is this all about? Who's Charlie Vickers?
Oh, there's an Earth Green Lantern. Why is he out in
what?
Sector?
I had to know.
900 million.
He's the Rosetta Stone for why all the aliens know English.
Right.
Yeah.
He's why Charlie Vickers taught me.
Yeah. Well, I ran into this really nice guy named Charlie Vickers who taught me English. Oh, okay.
He's the Johnny Appleseed of Earth culture.
Yes.
There we go.
Yeah, it's like how they revamped.
We've just found something for Charlie Vickers.
Yeah, how they had Monel as Valor. He was he seeded all the worlds. Yeah, Charlie Vickers seeded them.
Legend.
Yeah, he just followed Monel and he seeded them with English.
Yeah.
Rod, here's a program we call Hee Haw. Showing it on his ring.
This is Country Virtuoso, Roy Clark.
Y'all, you haven't lived till you heard Jerry Reed.
Here's a little ditty I like to call Eastbound and Down. And
Yeah.
that'll get us into Smokey and the Bandit.
Oh, don't.
You know what?
Oh.
It would blow my mind if there was a Green Lantern or they visit Charlie Vickers was there and they based their whole culture off of Smokey and the Bandit.
Man, you're talking
All right,
talking, baby.
Here's the pitch for the Green Lantern series we know is coming back next year.
Now you're talking. You got to get from Earth to Oa to smuggle some cores
So of course.
because they're having a
Or
big
maybe an
birth.
elephant.
They're having a big birthday party for Ganthet on Oa, and Ganthet loves Coors beer, so they gotta smuggle Coors from Earth to Oa, and then get back in time for a big Justice League battle.
Oh.
And so that's your party.
There's our pitch.
If I had a truck full of cores here on Earth, I would be more than happy to see
Send
that
it into space.
removed from the solar system.
Man, I'll tell you what.
Here.
Mercy sakes. Put about 8.5 on me. Blowing my windows out.
That is, it does not hold a candle to the champagne of beers.
The highlight.
I can drive any forking thing around. I love that movie. I have an original Smokey poster up. The first thing you see when you walk into my home
Nice.
is a framed original Smokey poster.
The next dog that you get, are you going to name it after Sally Field's character?
The frog? Yeah, I should.
Why not?
I know.
That's
why
it.
not,
Mike,
right?
Mike, we need to find out on the streaming services Hal Needham night. We need to get Smokey and the Bandit and then Cannonball Run.
Oh,
And honestly, Gary Gotso to guest host.
There you go.
Because he'd
oh
be
I'm
he'd
in,
be
man.
in.
I'm in. Make sure I'm available for that one.
Yeah.
Gary Gotso and Joe Slepski host. Hal
Hal
Needham.
Needham.
I think I've purchased Smokey and the Bandit no less than 5 times in various formats, like VHS, DVD, Blu-ray, DVD again because it came with the other movies, and then DVD again because I found a pack that was super cheap that came with both the movies and the TV movies.
Oh, well.
Yeah, I have the soundtrack. In college, all I wanted was the CD soundtrack for Smokey and the Bandit, and it was never released on CD, so I eventually bought the cassette tape soundtrack, which I still have.
Nice.
And now it is available digitally now, but
Yeah.
there was a good 20-year gap when I couldn't get Smokey and the Bandit on.
You've got
It
Smokey.
almost makes you want to go out and get an Arby's Diablo sandwich.
Oh, and a Dr. Pepper. Make it fast. I'm in a goddamn hurry.
And you got Smokey 2. Do you have
Yeah.
Smokey 3?
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
It's terrible. Oh, I've got them all. Well, like I said, this last one also had the TV movies.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah. Terrible.
That's technically what, Smokey 2.5 and Smokey 4?
I guess, yeah.
Something like that's the timeline there?
Yeah. Something like that.
That's
Yeah, they're terrible. But and 3's terrible because
Yeah,
Bert's
3's
not
terrible.
in it. But I love Bert. And I love Jackie. And I love Jerry. And I love Sally. And I love Junior. I don't even know his actor's name. But Junior's great.
Good old dumbass Junior.
So, anyways, we're way off the beaten path here. So let's drag this kicking and streaming.
Put the evidence in the car, Junior. I'm so glad Snake Eyes is back. I really am. I did really love the way he's told that story. The reunion with Scarlett was awesome. The fact that he's seemingly given him his vocal cords back is great. Seemingly his face is fixed. You know, like there's no reason his face would be messed up because it's cloned. I loved all that. I genuinely, I thought that was great. I really thought it was great. And I love the idea that the whole Joe team was like, fuck yeah, we got to go get Snake Eyes. Like everybody's in. I just wish, I do wish that it was more like, let's see the whole Joe, like let's get a big old invasion force. And then just the final cliffhanger, just bigger stakes. That's all. But, otherwise, honestly, kudos though. It's amazing. It's an amazing feat. What other licensed property has gone this far?
I can't think of a licensed property that got 300 consecutive issues.
Yeah, I don't see Star Wars 300 anytime soon.
Yeah.
They're probably the closest, right? Transformers certainly never did a consecutive run of 300 stories in the same universe.
No. And Lord knows they would just.
And the Star Wars, Star Wars, you think it, well, maybe.
There's
Just
probably
because of all the
been-
Dark Horse stuff.
Yeah, but they've been rebooted so many times in different
Yeah, I mean-
universes. Yeah.
Yeah. Like
there's
I said, that
300 Star Wars books easily, but not
Oh,
not second
Oh, yeah,
edition
yeah.
ones.
right. There's absolutely a lot more actual issues of it, but it's not
the only
same
other one I can
universe,
think of
same stories.
is Marvel's run on Conan the Barbarian.
Ooh, that is true. That's a good one. Yeah, no, that is actually a really good one.
That ran over 300 issues with Marvel.
It did. Yeah, it's a really good point. Plus, you'd have to absolutely include like King Conan and Savage Sword because that was same
All
continuity
in the
and all
same
this
universe,
stuff.
yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
That'd
Totally.
be it.
That's really good company.
Yeah.
It's a great company to be in.
You, Conan.
How did Marvel lose Conan again?
Wait, they didn't lose him again, did they?
Yeah.
Wait, like currently right now?
I believe the property's about to flip over to like, is it Titan or something?
Are you shitting me? I didn't know that. Really? They made such a big deal. They made such a big deal of integrating them into their universe. And
Yeah,
now
and
nothing.
they've had it like 2 years. It's like,
Yeah.
what, you're out again?
They were going
Really?
to
How do you lose
pair
that?
him up with all of Rom's old buddies.
Oh, I love Rom.
Conan and the Torpedo.
Yeah, I love Rom. I didn't hear that. I know he got written out of the Savage Avengers, which I wasn't
why.
reading the. Yeah, I enjoyed him in the Savage. I liked the Savage Avengers stuff. I thought it was pretty good.
Also means that probably, you probably want to buy a copy of, is it Avengers like No Way Home or something like that? That one storyline that basically brought him back in. Probably want to get a copy of that real quick.
Well, you also actually pick up the omnibuses because then those are going to go out of print again. That's the move.
At least for Marvel, they'll go at Titan.
Yeah.
I'm sure will try and.
Oh, I guess they could, yeah, because didn't Dark Horse did Dark Horse
did
publish
some
the Marvel?
Yeah, Dark Horse did the
Okay.
Marvel. Yeah, I don't know if
Yeah.
they ever finished it, but
Yeah.
they certainly did like the Barry Windsor Smith and stuff like that. So.
Yeah. I like Conan, but it's a lot of the same.
Yeah.
I tend to lose interest after a couple adventures.
So, to come back to G.I. Joe.
You guys just tuned into just a regular phone. This is just a phone call. Three dudes talking comics.
Yeah. Well, Mike's trying to keep on track, and then of course we're just like going, whatever. How about Captain Carrot?
I almost bought a Cull. I almost bought the Cull omnibus at like Comic Con last week. I should have probably grabbed it. It was half off.
What plot point or what development didn't happen at IDW that you would like to see the next publisher pick up Ragtime Rob?
An ending to those stupid robots.
Okay.
He ain't lying.
He's down on revanche.
Yeah.
Which
Yeah.
I have to admit that is the most fun thing about them is saying the name revanche. But Joe Slepski, same question, but can't.
I can't repeat that answer because that absolutely would be it. I actually would. So what plotline they didn't pick up on?
Or what would you like to see happen?
What would I like to see happen? Less ninjas.
Yeah.
Less ninjas. Honestly, let's get back to more of the team. Shipwreck and Mutt and Junkyard and Spirit and Roadblock and whoever new. The new people are fine too.
Right.
But more team based adventures. That's my goal. Like I don't care about that old lady ninja and her handbag with a brick in it. I don't. She's fine. She is a fun character, but like her running around with it was just back to Ninja Force. So that stuff I don't care about. I want to read about I like the team stuff. I do.
I thought that there was a pretty good balance just in this last story with between the ninja and the team. You figure you had to have some of the Ninja Clan involved because the underlying point is Snake Eyes coming back in. So of course that's going to bring that element in.
Totally, yeah, totally. It's just like for the last couple of years.
But you know what? It also brought in
ninjas.
the rest of the team because of the camaraderie they had with Snake Eyes too. So
correct. Yeah, I thought it was a good balance in this series.
Yeah,
Yeah,
this last one, like I said, Snake Hunt could have been.
Yeah, so that's
Not high on
that's
Snake
it.
Hunt, much higher on this last storyline.
Yeah, and you would think that I don't know. You just would think that they'd want to have them build out more characters because then that makes it more characters for people to be interested to collect. But
really,
we know kids aren't reading this book anyway, so
Yeah.
I guess it doesn't
right,
matter.
I really think there needs to be a special mission style book running. I think fans out there who are buying the main title would buy a team-based special missions type title too.
Totally. Do not run 2 parallel Joe universes, though. Don't do it.
Yeah, I wouldn't necessarily.
I don't know if they're strong enough. I don't know if Joe's a strong enough property to handle that anymore.
No. If you want to have fun with it, I think IDW should have done more stuff like Saturday Morning Adventures.
Yeah.
Sure.
More
That's a
mini
little
series,
different,
have fun with it. They should have done a lot more of that over the years, 100% that. But do them as mini series, not necessarily as, just a running continuity alongside
No,
it,
I think that's the perfect format for that type of.
I honestly would have liked to have seen the Paul Aller book get a good 2-year run in it, though.
Yeah, I enjoyed that book.
That would be I wanted to see more of what went on there. Like, if you think about it, that book essentially ran for 10 issues and then a big trade at the end.
Mm-hmm.
Snake Eyes was in one panel.
Yeah, that's the one that got really crippled by COVID, right? Unfortunately, wasn't that was interrupted by COVID?
It was part of it, and I think just IDW's just inability to maintain any kind of focus on anything for longer than a year.
I think it was more that it didn't jive with the movie.
Oh, interesting.
I think the lack of success for Snake Eyes G.I. Joe Origins and the fact that book had very little to do with Snake Eyes at all meant that they couldn't dedicate any resources to it.
Well, the other problem with that book, and I get why you do it, because you are running an alt continuity, so you do want a visual difference from the main title, but the problem with any of these books that want you to care about the characters in their personal lives, the readers don't know who they are. They need to be in an identifiable costume. They have to be, because there's very, very few artists that are able to hit facial features that match from panel to panel, so you can, your brain can kind of absorb and understand who it is. So, and there's certainly not. I don't think many of those artists are working at IDW. No shade. It's a fact. So very few artists in the history of comics can really do costumeless. I mean, look at all John Byrne's faces.
Right.
You could take those faces off and put them on anyone's face, really.
Yeah.
Versus Adams. Adams' faces were unique and distinct. Byrne's looked amazing, but they were very cookie cutter. But that's okay, because the X-Men look like the X-Men.
I can't look at any panel that John Byrne draws that has kids in it, because when he draws kids, they look like tiny adults, and it's scary.
It's a horror show. It's like he's always doing the what was that movie with the little girl, the older girl that pretended to be a 9-year-old adopted girl, the little choker collar. She murdered, then she murders her adopted parents. You guys know the little European girl. It's called Anna or something. That's what Byrne's children look like. They look like 40-year-old
really
babies.
Big heads, really big eyes.
Yeah. But you know what I'm saying, though. So if you're doing a G.I. Joe comic book, you have to have them in the costumes. It doesn't work without costumes.
Sure.
I mean, yeah, and I think even for the new designs on classified figures and stuff like that, you have to hit. You can update it, but you still need certain identifiable design elements for each character that has
100%.
always been there. Yeah.
There's got to be something to pull it together. Yes, I think those figures are too similar to what we got 30 years ago on the whole, but you're also correct, Rob. I think there needs to be something to pull it to what we identify those characters with there.
I think that's at least twice, maybe 3 times tonight, Rob, that Mike said you were correct.
It happens. Look, I'm on a roll.
Good for you.
Buy a lottery ticket.
Yeah. I hope you're keeping score. I keep a Snake Eyes kill count next to my desk for every time Snake Eye visibly knows Snake Eyes murdered someone. So you
were busy last couple issues, huh?
Yeah. Yeah. Totally.
I'm not that host. I give Rob credit all the time. He would not have been added as the Ringo to the What's on Joe Mind podcast had he I thought was a scoop. It's not just nepotism. He really does know more about comic books I have ever learned. Like, he's forgotten more than I've ever learned. So he's got a legitimate chair at the table. So, it's not knowing is half the podcast. We don't all just bag on Ray. No, we don't. Like Rob is legit, or Rob wouldn't be here. I would just continue to cater to Rob. Oh yeah, sure. Keep doing rack time. Anyways, maybe that's how we should bill this one, as a rack time special.
Ooh, yeah.
There you go.
Special edition.
I think rack time gets a lot more interesting if we talk about this stuff rather than just me blather on. So,
look, man, it was an audio thing, and I didn't want to spend a lot of time editing it, so we had a format to do. Dick. Anyways,
oh, this is why I wanted to be on the show, because if it was just me blathering by myself for an hour, what am I going to do? Bring my wife in? Have it? She would be like, I have no idea what you're talking about.
Maybe.
So this has been a cathartic conversation.
You could explore the origins of the nickname Toilet Eel.
Yeah.
Which bothers me that you call your wife that.
It was her choice. She chose it.
I understand, Joe. I know you're not doing this to be cruel. By all appearances, you have a very happy marriage. I'm not.
Yeah.
I'm not saying that you're being a dick here. I'm just saying that there's just a very visceral reaction that happens in me when I hear you refer to your wife as Toilet Eel, and that's never going to stop. I cannot change that. It's not quite acid reflux, but it's it's in that neighborhood, right?
Yeah. Just lots of hot babushka play goes on in my house. That's all.
oh, now there's a phrase I didn't think I was going to hear. Not at least on this side of the Volga River. Not within spitting distance of the Ural Mountains. Babushka action. Outstanding.
Oh my God. I think we found our clip for TikTok.
There we go. We may have found a new subtitle for this episode. Yeah.
Hey.
Special edition 80, hot babushka action.
There we go. We got that all in a minute and a half. That is perfect for Instagram.
Oh,
perfect.
Wow.
The Polish Anti-Defamation League on my ass.
Right. That's all we need.
Yeah.
It was Slepski.
Ski. It ends in it's SKI. It ends in a ski.
It was all Slepski.
It was Slepski.
My dad's nickname.
Don't me. I got no money.
My dad's nickname is Ski because he was literally the only Polish guy in the neighborhood. It was a bunch of Italians and Irishmen. He was the only Polish guy in his neighborhood, so they could comfortably yell, "Hey, Ski," and only one guy's head would turn.
That had to be what it was like for Grandma.
It was either going to be him or Jean-Claude Keeley. Anyway.
Because we're all kinds of stuff.
Yeah, we're a mess. It's
right. We are the classic American mutt. But part of that one branch of the family is Lithuanian.
Oh,
which means there's probably some other stuff in it.
There's definitely somebody who would answer to a ski.
well, I learned late in my grandpa's life. He started like he was his brain was going a little bit. He started bad mouthing his doctor, saying that Lithuanian, and I was like, "What are you talking about?" Like,
oh yeah, there's troubles there with the Poles.
Yeah. Meanwhile, my absolute favorite teacher of all time, before my fourth grade teacher, Mrs. Erba, she was Lithuanian, like escaped, like fled World War II, like as a youth, like amazing woman. So I've always loved the Lithuanians, like
from the Russians.
Yeah, like I've always had this, and she really appreciated her culture, a thick accent. I've always loved it. So like, fast forward 20 some years, and my grandpa's going on and on about how much he doesn't trust Lithuanians, and I was like, wait a minute.
Right.
I've always enjoyed the people.
Yeah.
Right.
Well, Grandma's maiden name Chernowski, so
There you go.
That's the Lithuanian part.
Right. So yeah, that's border issues there, as there often are.
Sure.
the Europeans' world.
It's gonna happen.
The country you like the least is the one that's right next to you.
Fucking Canada.
Right?
Yeah, all of our border issues with Canada.
More like all of Canada's border issues with us, frankly.
Yeah, no shit.
And that's fair.
You know, I'm always reminded of the one joke of from Rocky and Bullwinkle, the Mussylvania storyline, where Mussylvania is this island on the border of the U.S. and Canada. You know, and it's a point of some contention with the U.S. claiming it's part of Canada and Canada claiming it's part of the U.S. The island was such a hole that nobody wanted it.
That's like Indiana and Illinois with Chicago.
Yeah.
Oh, it's like Southern Illinois with Chicago.
That's what I'm saying.
Yeah,
Illinois wants to give Chicago to Indiana.
Yeah.
Indiana wants nothing to do with it.
Yeah. Chicago drives that state.
Yeah,
Very much.
Thank
the
God.
And the rest of that state resents it greatly.
Yeah, and thank God for that.
As opposed to Indiana, where basically they make sure Indianapolis gets nothing.
Right. They go out of their way.
Yeah.
But that's a whole other.
Yeah, now we're really off topic.
Long meandering.
That's on you.
Right. That's Rob's fault.
That's on
political science over there. That's the podcast you could host with former host Gary Gotso right there.
There we go.
That's what we need. That's what nobody needs.
Anyway, we'd have fun.
Anyways, closing it up. Joe Slepski, your guest. When do we see issue 301, and who's it going to be from?
I think it's going to be from Skybound, and I think where my brain is at is contractually they can't announce it until 23,
right? And
previews works 3 months ahead, so I would imagine at the earliest April 23. You know, like it would be in the January previews.
Right.
So maybe April, maybe May of 23, I would imagine. That's my guess.
Right time, Rob?
Yeah, all of the smoke seems to be coming from around Skybound rumors. So
right.
I'm thinking that's where the fire is, but even though it's not official. So
yeah, if the Hollywood Reporter feels confident enough to throw that conjecture on their site, then it probably is.
Yeah, and I imagine the hubbub over it is more about the live action aspect of the properties than it is about the comic book stuff.
Okay.
Well, if Skybound takes it over, Skybound, who, you know, or Robert Kirkman will say, who, you know, comes off Walking, as all that stuff, don't you think that Kirkman would be interested in developing some of this stuff, you know, for more than just comic books?
I would hope he would be looking.
Yeah, and that's something I really hadn't considered coming out of Skybound.
Which is why I think someone like Hollywood Reporter picks it up, not because of, you know, like I doubt they announced that Marvel's publishing Conan, right?
Yeah,
I have a feeling that's the hubbub, and that's also why it's such top secret stuff, is because there's a lot more complex deals that are having to happen with Skybound / Kirkman than just
since Skybound
issue 301 of G.I. Joe. Yeah,
Skybound's got that big foot in Hollywood because of Walking Dead,
right?
And you know, Invincible.
Yeah,
you know,
Invincible too. Right?
Are there negotiations that have to happen on the Paramount end? You know, so.
Correct. Yeah, so I and that's total conjecture, but it makes sense to me that's why we haven't really heard anything.
I don't think Paramount has anything to do with the animation rights for G.I. Joe.
See? Right.
Whereas Skybound would very much be a potential player. That's why I'm kind of hoping it's Skybound, because I think ultimately, if we're not talking comic books, I think the media for G.I. Joe is animation, right?
Mm-hmm.
I think so.
The live action stuff is nice if you do it right. But ultimately, it just turns into something else where it's the cast gets too big and you get the law of diminishing returns, and then everybody's crapping on it. And we've already seen it. Like, we don't need another G.I. Joe movie reboot, because I think G.I. Joe fans are too stuck in the past, on the whole,
Right.
to accept anything new, any kind of changes. But I think if you make something that would appeal to a new audience, like an animated series, or and you pick up some new fans or some long lapsed fans that are willing to be open to changes, I think that's a better prospect for media going forward. So I would love to see a Skybound G.I. Joe animation project.
Completely agree.
That's why we haven't heard anything.
Yes, that's exactly where I'm coming from. You're exactly right. And
I don't think Paramount has anything to do with that. Maybe distribution. Maybe they would have to put that on Paramount Plus or something. But
right.
But I don't.
Hey, we got Paramount Plus. We're all right.
Sure. I mean, you get a 20-minute show with 20 minutes of commercials, and I'm paying for it. So great.
Oh, you'd miss your Beavis and Butthead.
That's true.
And your Lower Decks.
That's true. Also true. I'm not even a Trek guy, but Lower Decks is great.
Lower Decks is pretty outstanding.
Joe Slepski, you got any last words? Anything you want to plug? Hint, hint.
Oh yeah. Well, subscribe to my podcast if you want more of this grumpy old man bullshit.
Insane blather.
Yeah, insane blather. But yeah, I'm freight training it to 155. I believe I'll hit that the first week of the new year. And then after that, the show is kind of relaunching, and it's still Joe on Joe, but it's the format's going to be called You on Joe, and it's really you. And the goal there is to get people, Mike, like Rob, and all you Joe fans and listeners who are super rabid fans of one show, and get you on the show, and we're going to do as deep a dive as possible that we can do on that one aspect. So it's Sergeant Slaughter. Okay, let's talk Sergeant Slaughter for 40 minutes. It's this one specific issue of the comic book. Then we'll do that. We'll talk about that one issue of the comic book and what that means to you, the fan. So I'm excited for it because it's getting me back into doing interviews versus just me reading a comic. So yeah, I'm excited, and I'm really looking forward to having you on, Mike. And Rob, I want to have you on as well. So think about what your subject is, because that's the other thing. Like one subject, that's it. Someone hits one topic, that topic's gone.
Wow.
Strangely, I've already had two people ask for the same topic, and it's not what you would. It's not like Snake Eyes. It's like
it's still open.
Well, yeah, but like two people asked for the same topic. And it is more of a relational topic. It's more of like a conceptual topic. And I'm like, that's awesome. So I'm really excited to dig into that.
Well, there you go, folks. That's Joe Slepski from the Joe on Joe podcast. Subscribe to his show. We'll have all the stuff down.
Yeah.
I'm sure we'll get
links below. Find me on your podcatcher. Send me all your hate mail. How dare you not like this cliffhanger book?
Yeah.
For the record, I liked it. It just...
Yeah, it's just back in the day when you had the big anniversary issue, it wrapped something up.
Yeah, and it's leaving the publisher.
Yeah, and it's as opposed to leaving something very open ended and leaving the publisher.
Yep. So let's circle back to the beginning.
Right.
We're so close to wrapping up.
As we just. All right, great.
We'll fix it.
No, you guys are the best. Thank you for letting me come and do a special episode with you guys. I hope it was fruitful.
Oh, absolutely. Anytime we can con other people into writing bonus content, and that's because really nobody watches our bonus content. So, I say nobody. But
listen, if this visage doesn't get more viewers, then fuck YouTube. Just destroy it. Throw it out with garbage, and people don't want to look at this.
Put it in the same trash heap as Twitter.
Yeah,
I said it from the pre-show, Joe. Maybe if you showed a little bit more skin.
What this isn't enough?
I'm not talking forehead skin. Wrong kind of skin, Joe. They all associate with that a little too much. Not everyone can have the lush locks of the Irizarry boys.
Man, so jealous.
Lush.
Now, having said that, it'll fall out on our pillow tonight.
Yeah,
Probably.
I know. Yeah. Meanwhile, it's like a Lex Luthor wig.
That's why I had to put the sweatshirt on.
Hey, Rob's the camera off?
That's all we got. Thanks for watching us here on Special Edition 80. For my guest, Joe Slepski, for my co-host, Racktime Rob, I'm Mike Irizarry. Everybody have a great rest of the night. Or rest of the day, whenever you're watching this, whatever. We ain't doing it live, whatever. It
might be Christmas morning. Happy Christmas. Merry Christmas. I don't know when you're listening.
God bless us, everyone.
God bless us, everyone. Happy 4th of July.
As our friend They God
Happy
says, stay safe. You can't be careful. Have a great rest of the night. Yo, Joe.
Hey, Daddy, I'm gonna punch your mama in the mouth.
Very progressive, that Jackie Gleason character.
Oh my God, you sounded taller on the radio.
You for T Justice, ladies and gentlemen.
She was walking down that aisle. No, she was prancing down that aisle.
So,
Oh boy, we've lost Joe. He's
Goes out.
in Joe
We've
land.
lost the G.I. Joe thread. So I guess my point is,